Well, good morning. If you haven't heard, or even if you have heard, a container ship slammed into a bridge support in Baltimore and brought down the whole bridge. I think it was called the Francis Scott Key Bridge. I'm not familiar with that area. It doesn't matter. What matters is that a ship slammed into the pier support and brought down the bridge, and they're working what they call a mass casualty situation right now. Just from what I read, and I already put up a couple of things. There's already quite a discussion going on the Patreon channel amongst our folks over there, and good information coming out from them. Good opinions and things like that. From what I read, so I've read this is about, I don't know what time it is now. It's about 8 o'clock Central Time. So that'd be 9 o'clock Baltimore time. What they know so far, and I've read the information that we can get at this time, whatever they're releasing. Apparently, this large container ship run by Maersk, and I watched the video. The video is up. You can find it anywhere. You can see it over on our channel. The lights apparently went out just a few minutes on the ship before it struck the pylon. And then some of the lights came back on, black smoke came out, making it look like engine problems or trying to, run the engines at a high rate or restart engines. I don't know. You read opinions like this, in the articles, and remember that the articles are written by people not that have a lot of experience, in piloting ships or running ships, but by writers with an editor and a deadline. Kind of like YouTube channels, right? I don't know anything about ships. I'm just passing on what I've read. The interesting thing to me, now this is going to have a real serious economic effect on Baltimore, certainly, but also on that area. I didn't realize that the Baltimore port of Baltimore was as important as it was. It's rigged to take the very largest cargo ships, and apparently, from what I read, it brings in more vehicles and cars and light trucks from around the world than any other port in the United States. So, does that matter? Anyway, it's just interesting. It shows you how important this port is. And with this bridge dropped down there into the channel, and it's something to see. If you haven't seen it, watch it. That port's going to be closed, I would imagine, for a long time. Now, the interesting thing to me was that almost immediately, they say the Baltimore police chief came out and said that there was no indication that this was not an act of terrorism. Number one, a city police chief is not going to be the one that has the information himself or herself to make that determination. And secondly, to come out and say what something is not, that's become the way of things nowadays, hasn't it? We don't know what it was, but it wasn't this. Okay, that's ludicrous. It's interesting to me also that if you look at the video, I mean, there are large spans on both sides of that pylon that it hit. I don't know if pylon is the correct term. I am not a harbor pilot. I'll use it. You know what I mean. The thing that supports the bridge. There's large spans of open water. Now, I also understand that you have channels, through there, and you don't want to take a ship everywhere because, they dredge to make sure there's clearance. But on board were two Port of Baltimore pilots, which is also always what they do. I mean, a container ship, comes off the coast. They send out a couple of pilots who know the channels, and these are professional people, and there wasn't just one, there were two. And then they bring the ship in because they're the ones that know where to go. So, of course, the question that everyone is asking, and I'm asking myself, was this an accident? Was it an accident? When was the last time? Now, that port's been going for a long time and one of the busiest ports. When was the last time a ship hit one of the pier supports? That would be my question. I have a tendency to always go to the worst case scenario and then work my way back from it. And that's the way I suggest. You know, I don't go through life going, oh, I think everything's okay, and then be hit by something and go, oh, well, okay, it's worse than I thought, but that's all it is, and oh, it's worse than I thought. No, I always go to the worst case scenario and then work backwards from that. Here's the possibility. So let's keep that in mind while we are running our investigation, because we might need to be ready for something. You know, if we assume the worst, let's be ready for that, you know, on the back burner. If that turns out to be the case, and now let's run the investigation and see what happens. Now, that's not the way that I would run an investigation, a criminal investigation, you know. But, you know, because there you go where the evidence leads you. In this case, when it's a potential mass casualty, disruption, whatever it is, I think you need to go to the worst potential, and then hopefully it's not that. But the thing is, and my question is this an act of deliberate sabotage, which means it's an act of war? And we won't know. That's the next thing that I want to point out. We won't know because the authorities will only put out information that they want us to know. And trust me, they always know a lot more than the public ever knows. And they'll feed out little information in order to make the public, you know, and to kind of tweak and make the public think what they want the public to think. And they don't want the public to think that there is anything close to terrorism on this, because then that would set wheels in motion they don't want to be in motion. So that's my thought. Let me know what you think. We've already had some great conversations going on and observations on the page. By the way, if you're not with us on Patreon, I'll put the link down below. It's in the links down there along, you know, where you can get the Stonemont website, or you can get my books and T-shirts and cups, mugs, stuff like that. So the link is down there to go to Patreon too. So come on over if you'd like. But think about this: if it was an accident, okay, it's going to have a serious economic impact certainly on that region, potentially on the country. If it wasn't an accident, it's obviously going to still have the impact, the economic impact. You know, I was just writing in my 7th book. I was editing. I was reviewing the first half of my 7th book, which I'm working on now, day before yesterday, and I talk about the sources of power in a company or organization, and I identify them as economic, political, and military. And without the first, the other two are difficult, if not impossible. All power, all influence begins economically. And this will be a serious economic blow on companies, on the people who work for those companies, on the city of Baltimore, on that region, and potentially on the United States. By the way, did you happen to see that apparently thousands of acres of solar farms in Texas have been ruined, destroyed, they say? I don't know to what extent. They say destroyed by a hailstorm down in Texas. We've lost, they lost 10,000 cows to the fire down there, and now they've taken out a whole bunch of solar. And these are just things to keep in mind. when you're thinking about your own resiliency, your own self-reliance, and the importance of having backup plans. I've never talked about solar at all. I think it's a good idea if that's all you can have for your, your alternate energy source, you know. But they can be fragile too, and also, as I write in my books, Stonemont doesn't rely on solar panels because they can be damaged, they can be ruined, and there are better sources of energy, that you produce yourself if they're available to you, you know, running flowing water, oil and gas, things like that. So that's just an aside, but we'll keep an eye on what's going on up there in Baltimore. And, they're going to be doing an investigation on this, and we won't know the truth. They'll come out. They will come out and say, well, it was the lights went out on the ship, the computer system went out on the ship, this or that. It was a big mistake. It was a big accident. It was just an accident. Nothing to worry about here. It doesn't matter what they say. And even that, did the lights go out on the ship as a result of sabotage? You can you can run this dog all the way back up the road, and as far as you want. We won't know. That's the thing. They will tell us what they want us to think. But the lesson here is be prepared. As always, right? Be prepared. Be prepared for everything you can be, because things can happen, whether by accident, whether overtly, whether covertly, whether clandestinely. Do you all know the difference between those three? Maybe I'll do one about that over on the Patreon channel. And you may not know. You may or may not know, but it'll have effects on you. You'll never know the reason. But if you're prepared, you'll be ready. By the way, that's probably a good time for me to come in here and say, if you haven't read these, this might be something you'd be interested in, and that's the Stonemont series, my series of books about the complete plan for preparing for, surviving, and rebuilding after a complete collapse of everything. It's 6 novels. I'm missing the first one, so I put the Stonemont notebook up there because I ran out, and I'm waiting for the delivery of the new bunch. Should be in today or tomorrow. Because y'all buy so many. Thanks. I'm glad you all are enjoying these so much. It's 6 novels: the reversion, the revival, the renewal, and appeal to heaven, the blessings of freedom, and hostages to fortune. And you can get them on Amazon in paperback, Kindle, or Audible. And I keep forgetting to say that. You can get them on Audible, and the Audibles are just selling. I've had people ask me, when is it going to be on Audible? Well, it came out on Audible several months ago, and they are selling all over the world like you can't believe. And that's available through Amazon as well. Just the link is down below. I'll put the link down below for the Amazon link, and also the link is down there if you want to get these from me directly. And if you do that, I don't get them to you as fast as Amazon does, but I sign them for you, and I love doing that because I love my relationship with my readers, and so it's great to do that as well. So whichever way you do, if you haven't read them, it's a great story. It's in novel form, 6 novels, and it takes you through. You'll love the story, and you will learn a lot. And in it, my message is always be prepared, be completely prepared, and you can be. It takes time, it takes money, it takes effort, it takes being determined to do so, but it can be done. So do that. Get ready. Keep an eye on this. We'll keep an eye on this. See what happens with it. They'll tell us it's an accident. But let's keep an eye on and see what we think ourselves. But always keep preparing. So remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. Because tomorrow depends on today, right? Okay. You all have a good day. I'll keep looking at this, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.